We still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications options. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us red. What time you said coming over you. You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is me, Steve Wraith, with you, the NUFC Matters chat for an hour. I haven't done one of these for a while, and I thought it was about time we did one. I'll do a members only one as well this month before the end of the month, just for those people who've got the membership. And yeah, it's your chance to ask me a question. It can be Newcastle United related, it could be anything else. And get your questions in the chat. We've got an hour. We'll have an ad break halfway through. The only time I pause for breath is when I have a drink of water. So it can be anything that you like tonight. Just go for it, and we will see whether I can answer it or whether I can't. Mark Byers, good evening or good afternoon to you. He says, if you could bring back one Terrace chant from years gone by, what would it be? You know what, Mark? I tend not to look at the questions until I come on live. So I haven't had time to really think about this, but it does tie in with something that I've mentioned already this week, and that is about singing on terraces, and stems a little bit, I guess, from the Phil Foden situation that developed at the weekend, where people were singing about his mother, and then obviously Jamie Vardy. We had Newcastle fans singing about his wife, and the Newcastle one didn't really get picked up, but it was the Foden one. I won't repeat what was said. I'm sure you all know exactly what was said, but that particular chant and the way that it was chanted at him, it was basically picked up by the commentators, and it led to a couple of media channels saying that that kind of thing should be banned. And you know, really, it's the world we live in now. You know, you can't have anything said about somebody in a derogatory way, and I'm not saying that's wrong at all. You know, at the end of the day, you know, anything that is racist or homophobic or transphobic or whatever you want to say is wrong, and anything like that should be picked up on. However, certain things are banter, and my point is that where will this stop? They're already bringing in facial recognition into football stadiums. Wembley's got it. I believe, and again, I said this the other day, I don't know 100% for certain, but I have been led to believe that there is facial recognition at our football club. I stand to be corrected. But, facial recognition will become part of football clubs. And that is for the benefit of you and me and everybody else who goes to stadiums. I mean, we've seen some horrendous incidents over the years at music venues, etc., where terrorism has happened and taken place. But we also know that football stadiums, can be an attraction for would-be terrorists or would-be football hooligans or people who intend to go in and cause trouble. So facial recognition is only a bad thing if you've got something to hide. So I'm not against it. I think that it should be signposted quite clearly if we've got it. But I think that this all ties in. The Terrace chants, I think, could well become a thing of the past. It's the next step towards almost making out the game not a middle class game now, but an upper class game, and changing the whole concept of what going to the match means. It's the Americanization, Mark. I'm sure you know what it's like living in America yourself. And that feels as if that's the way we're going. Very slowly, but we're going there. That's the way it feels. VAR and the delays in the game almost feels as if we've been led into this kind of situation where it's almost acceptable to pause the game at any given time. And well, why not chuck an advert in? That'll generate a few more quid when you're televising the games. It's a strange scenario and it's a strange situation. Songs that you'd bring back, I wish they would stop changing songs, Mark. I wish they would stop changing songs. And again, this comes with being older. And now, as a supporter, as a Newcastle fan, you and I have been going the same length of time, Mark, but you're talking, 83, 84 for me. And some of those songs that we used to sing back in those days have disappeared. But some of those songs have now literally been changed. The Newcastle song, Newcastle, we say now, Newcastle. We don't go Newcastle, 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 Newcastle. That's what we used to sing. Now it's Newcastle, Newcastle, Newcastle. Now, that change has been implemented. The other song, We Hate Nottingham Forest, We Hate Liverpool too, and Leicester's the way is what the song used to be. We hate Man United, but Leeds, we love you. Do it, F, do it, but we support the black and white. That's what that song used to be. So change is inevitable. Songs are inevitably going to change. It doesn't mean we've got to like it, of course. But I do think we'll see a massive, massive change over the course of the next few years, with regards to this. And people will be made an example of. People will find themselves, especially when you're away from home, on the wrong side of the law and potentially facing a ban from the stadium, potentially for saying something which another 2,000 people are saying. And that's the way that we're going, unfortunately. Good thing or bad thing? I don't know, you tell me in the chat, but I think if you start taking away the atmosphere from the game and the crowd, then, or alienating certain people or picking on certain people, it's not a great way to go, is it? All I'll say is I'm glad I was alive in those days that I was alive. I think our generation, the 50-somethings, had a really, we're lucky that we've sampled everything, we've sampled some horrendous times, but we've also now sampled the best of times with Eddie Howe and the team. So long-winded answer, Mark. Great question. Darren, no idea what you've got going on there, mate. I'm presuming that somebody took the original question out that you put in. If it's anything that's unfootball related, that's why it'll have gone, and fair play to whoever took it out. So I think Darren not to be asking any of those kind of questions on you. But it could have been something completely different. Tom Dixon, question, how many trophies do you think Newcastle will target next season? All of them, Tom, all of them. No doubt about it. Every single trophy will be targeted. Premier League, European trophy, whichever one we're in, Champions League, hopefully. Carabao Cup, of course. We've got a cup to defend now. How good does that sound? And the FA Cup. And Eddie Howe will aim for the stars. So yeah, I think we'll target every single competition we're in and we'll aim to give it our best shot. John Askew, good afternoon. Should we be concerned that one or two of our players might be slightly miffed with the constant songs and adulations for one of our stars in particular? He's fantastic at the minute, but I presume you mean Tonali. I don't think that gets to anybody. I don't think that gets to players. I think with certain players, when they don't get the adulation and they don't get anything, that may get to them. Jacob Murphy's a point of interest because he was interviewed at the weekend. Sorry, not at the weekend, on Wednesday. On Monday, sorry. And he mentioned, the commentator mentioned about the fans singing the song to him. He said it was great to hear. So clearly, anybody as a football fan is going to love their name being sung because they know it means they're doing the right thing. But yeah, I don't think the fact that Tonali is getting all the plaudits will bother him at all, or bother anybody at all. So no, I don't think that's a problem at all, mate. SJP Dave, what's your favourite pot noodle? Dave, I really do not like pot noodles at all. They used to do pot rice. Now, pot rice was all right with a curry sauce, but I'm talking 30 odd years ago, probably since I had last one of them. I would never, ever think about picking up a pot noodle now, mate. I really wouldn't. I do like spicy food. So if there's a spicy equivalent of a pot noodle now, and somebody said that's the only thing you can eat tonight, otherwise you're not getting anything to eat, then I would eat it. But I'd much rather get the pan out, get some pasta, and make something myself than get a pot noodle, I'm afraid. And that's not being snobby, mate. It's just it's a question of the taste of it. It's just not for me. Really, really not for me. Good evening, Andrew. May I say that your trip to Turkey's been a fantastic success. John, the last two transfer windows have been frustrating. It might be good for the club to confirm who is involved in the decision-making process so we can form a judgment on those involved. Do you agree? I don't agree on that. I don't think there's any need, John. I don't think we need to know. It's a need to know basis, but we don't need to know. I think with Newcastle, I think we know how it works. Paul Mitchell is in charge of doing the deals. Eddie Howe has a say. The owners have a say because they've got the purse strings. And there's no doubt that Eddie discusses whatever he's going to discuss with Tyndall and co. The scouts will have an input as well. The scouts are the ones, of course, who go out and watch players week in, week out. And it's all chucked into the melting pot. And the decision is made. And then the decision is made on what to offer on that particular player. So it's as simple as that, really. I don't think we need to know who is doing what. But I think we already know who's doing what. Marky, did you get the link I sent you? Marky, I don't think so. Where would you have sent it? You'll have to let us know, mate. Was it on Twitter? Les, a bit of housekeeping question. Do you lose revenue if we click skip the option on the adverts? Yes, Les, we do. The only way that this channel can make money is by the adverts. And if you are YouTube savvy, you go into the back of YouTube in the YouTube studio, and you will see that you get three options to tick for adverts. We always tick the bottom one. So the amount of adverts you get, it depends on how you watch the program, whether you watch it on your mobile, on your laptop, or on your television. And if you watch all the adverts, then you are generating revenue for NUFC Matters. If you only see 10 seconds of the advert before you skip, we still get some kind of revenue. It's just not a great deal. But yeah, I couldn't sit here and say X, Y, and Z is how much you'll get. I couldn't. You know, it's impossible. And we certainly don't make vast amounts of money on this channel compared to, say, other channels who do shorter videos, clickbait videos, you know, those kind of videos. We purposefully do an hour because we've always done an hour. We aim to do at least an hour on every show. Obviously, as you know, the professionals and the amigos, because of their popularity, are always longer. But yeah, I mean, we do add. We tell you how to get around it. If it's frustrating, and I know it can be frustrating. I watch YouTube myself, other channels that I watch, not NUFC related. I watch, music or documentaries or whatever. Then ultimately, for me, it can become frustrating for me. I did have YouTube Premium for free for 6 months. I remember to cancel it, but I ended up getting onto, the YouTube forums to see how you could avoid it, and it just said, look, if the adverts start getting out of control, go back to the start, press play, and then go back to where you were, and that should stop the regularity of adverts. You won't stop adverts altogether, but it'll maybe just limit you to maybe 1 or 2 in a show, which is manageable. But I understand sometimes it's 5 or 6 adverts for people, and it's a nightmare. Plus, we have our own adverts on here, which is because we've got a couple of sponsors who've been with us for many years, and that's part and parcel of our show. But yeah, we do is the answer to that. John, as always, can rely on John for these questions. It's not going to happen, but hypothetically, if we lost all of our remaining games, would this season still have been a great one? Of course it would, John, because we won a trophy. And I think you'd probably go back to January when I said if Newcastle win a cup and didn't win another game, I'd be over the moon, because we wouldn't go down. I think Mitch said the same, and I think 1 or 2 others said the same. Of course, because we sit currently with a Champions League in our hands, it would be disappointing if we didn't win a Champions League place. But it's more or less certain now that, barring a disaster, we will at least have Europa League this season, I think. Look at the way that the games are starting to pan out. I'll probably use this later in the week as well, but I took a screenshot of Sky, and, that tells you where we're at with games. Forest have probably got an easier run in. Their record against teams below them is not bad. Chelsea, Ipswich, Fulham, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, Forest, that's quite difficult. Ours, again, Man United, Palace, Villa, Ipswich, Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton. Again, you would say some difficult games in there. Man City have got Palace, Everton, Villa, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham. They've got the easier run-in. And Aston Villa, of course, still in European competition as well. Southampton, Newcastle, Man City, Fulham, Bournemouth, Spurs, Man United, quite a difficult one. So it's all up in the open at the moment. It really is. And that ties in, I guess, to John's question, where he says, where do you think we'll finish this season? For me, John, I still think we'll finish in that top 5. My prediction, of course, was 3rd and Newcastle to win the FA Cup. But if you're going to push us, I'm going to say a 5er. I'm going to say 4th place, mate. 4th place. 4th place on the end of the season. 4th place in a cup. You would have took that at the start of the season. That's not far off what I predicted at the start of the season. Good evening, Jules. I hope you're well. You're making the dinner. Very good. I had cottage pie tonight. Where do you personally see the club in 5 years' time? They will have won the Premier League, Gary, and they will have won at least another couple of domestic cups, and they will be established as a Champions League regular. That's where I expect Newcastle to be and where I see them in 5 years' time. I still think 2027, it is written in the stars that Newcastle, 100 years after the last won the league, will win the league again. So yeah, that's what I feel, mate. I think another couple of cups, regular exciting journeys in Europe, and Newcastle will have won the Premier League within 5 years. Would I be happy if Murphy was a regular starter next season? On current form, John, 100% yes. And I genuinely think that Alexander Isak would be as well. Of course, Newcastle are supposedly chasing a right winger in the transfer window, but it's Murphy's place to lose at the moment. And he hasn't just had a good season. He had a good season last year as well. This year, his stats have been phenomenal. So, John, my answer is yes, but I would like to think that Newcastle have bought somebody by the time we kick off the new season in August, who will be able to give them a bit of a run for his money. Chris says, Steve, what is your opinion on the lack of English players in the Premier League? The soon-to-be champs only play 1 or 2 in their best 11. It doesn't bode well for the future of the England game, grassroots, etc. Yeah, I mean, a bit like Groundhog Day, this, Chris, because we've been down this road before, where on paper, the teams that are winning everything at the top. Let's go back to the days that Chelsea were winning the Premier League and the Champions League. Not many players in their team at the time were English. You had 1 or 2. You had your Lampards, your Terry and your Coles. But the rest of the team was French, and from other countries. So predominantly there was a lot of French players in there. So for me, it's not the first time it's happened, but we still had decent England teams. So I'm not worried about it at the moment. And I mean, it's Newcastle first and foremost, England second. But we've had some great years in the last few years. And I wouldn't say that I've actually studied it. I wouldn't say that I've studied what you would consider the top teams in the Premier League. But I'll go with your knowledge on that. And yeah, of course, you need to have more players coming through. Hopefully, Newcastle will be one of those teams. 21s are on a bit of a blitz at the minute, and hopefully there's a few young starlets in that team who come through and play for, who play for England. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, I'll maybe do a bit more research on that and have a look. It's maybe one for the summer. Barry, good evening. Steve, can I just say a huge thank you for everything you do for NUFC Matters? It has become such a huge part of my life. Huge thank you as well to all the people in the chat who make it the best. Cheers, Barry. And it's always good to get you on the fans forum. I know sometimes work takes you away, mate, but you're always in the chat as well if you're not on the show. So, no, thank you, Barry. And, pleased that, you've managed to keep in and continue it and become part of it, Barry and I met in lockdown. I was going down for a COVID jab, believe it or not. And Barry was there and working on reception at the time, and we had a little natter. And I've seen Barry a couple of times since then. But thanks for your support, Barry. And like you said, I'll reiterate what you said. Thanks to everybody in the chat for their support, because the show is only good because we've got such a great community and a great chat. We do our bit, you do your bit, and we've created a really nice community, which is great. Do I fancy Leeds, Sheffield United, and Burnley for relegation next season? Leeds have got to come up first, and I know, hey, what a result for them against Borough. Back on top again. What a league that is at the minute. It really is. But out of those 3 teams you've mentioned, one of them might not go up, and one of them is going to end up in the playoffs. And we all know what happens. Usually the team that finishes third tends not to come up. So you've got to say that if that's going to be Leeds or Sheffield United or Burnley, one of them isn't going to come up, mate. So. But getting onto the kind of theme of your question, the 3 that come up will surely go down, John. I've got no doubt about that. The gulf is just too big, mate. Racist and homophobic chanting should rightly be outlawed, but if the fun police take banter and humour out of chanting, we may as well give up on our enjoying ourselves, says Mark. Just getting back to the point that I opened the programme with. It's such a strange thing, Mark. It's such a strange thing. This is the world we're living in now, I'm afraid. And that's it, I'll fight the Americanism as long as I can. My personal opinion, says Jules. Yeah, I mean, the Americanism of the game is something that's going to happen, unfortunately. We're sick, and again, I welcome, supporters from all parts of the world, America included. But it's the owners, isn't it? It's the owners who are coming in, who are trying to Americanize the league. They're the ones pushing for a super league as well. And we're seeing the damage that Americans, American owners who are, let's say, absent tenants, like the Glazers, can do to football clubs. I mean, Manchester United, if anybody's had time to watch that Sir Jim Ratcliffe interview with Gary Neville, gives you a full indication of where they're at the moment. I mean, they could have gone out of business in December. Of course, Glazers would have found a way around it and managed to finance things, but crazy, really is crazy. Barry says, is there any one player you would like to see come into the club in the summer? Because a lot of people have been talking about Jonathan David. I still think he'd be a really good foil for Alexander Isak up front if we were going to play two strikers together. He's also an alternative for Isak if Isak's not fit or we want to do something different. So if he's not going to break the bank balance and if it's somebody we can afford, I'd love to see Jonathan David. I think he's probably a better fit with the team and squad than maybe Osherman was. Osherman's another great striker. We need a striker. We need another striker, another goal scorer. I would err on the side of caution with Delap. I'd like to see him having, I'd like to see what kind of season he would have had if Ipswich had stayed up. They still potentially could. I know it's looking far-fetched now, but is he not just another flash in the pan? Somebody who's had a good season. You need to do it consistently in the Premier League to be a Premier League striker, and there'd be a huge doubt over Delap for me. He's like Ferguson at Brighton, you know what I mean? And I know Ferguson's had his battle with injuries, so maybe he's a little bit unfair to judge him by Ferguson, but yeah, but we need a striker. We definitely need a striker. Of the goalkeepers that have been linked, Burnley's keeper, of course, is the one that you would want. I think Trafford, because he's young, he's English, and he knows people in the team. Would I go back for Mark Gahey? Will Crystal Palace deal with this? Gahey has had a hot and cold season, but I tell you what, again, you can see why Eddie Howe and Newcastle chased him, because he likes to get forward. He's good. You puts a good ball in and he can finish. If Gahey is a sensible price, I wouldn't be against going back for Gahey. Trafford, Gahey, Jonathan David, and a right winger. And watching Mbuma last week, or Mbuemo, or whatever you want to call him, he's an odd-looking shape, but he's a cracking player. So for me, I would probably go back in for him. Anybody be disappointed if we got them four? Maybe some people would disagree, but yeah, I think that's where we're at, Paul, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Hopefully see you on Sunday. How will the end of season partly work with Watto, Howie and Joe Allen there? So Barry, it's changed again. You'll see in the adverts coming up, there's now three entertainers going to be there. John Beresford, Steve Howie and Steve Watson will be doing a talk in with Joe Allen. Joe Allen will be hosting it, and he'll be interviewing all three players. But you check the ads out. If you've already bought a ticket, you've got an extra legend. But yeah, it's going to be a talk in with the three of them. That's the plan. And of course, it's how our end of season do. So ideally for me, I'd like to get a sponsor in for that. Ticket sales at the moment are slow, but it is only April. But for me, we want to raise as much money as we can for dementia. And our overheads in total, venue, players, etc. Probably around about the 1,500 quid mark. So obviously we need to make that before we can raise any money for the charity. Obviously we'll have a couple of raffles on the day, possibly have an auction. But from my perspective, we want to make as much as we can for Age UK dementia. That's the plan. Mark says he'd love to bring back the simple United clap, clap, clap instead of United tune. Yeah, I never liked tune. Tune, Black and White Army and all that. But again, that's just a new song. And that comes with age. But yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean. Of course, as you know, I'd like to bring the clap, clap song on the pre-match. But I don't think it'll ever happen, Mark. 1970s Terraces to today, but I do like a prawn sandwich. I like a prawn sandwich as well, JJ, if I'm not lying to you. Are we title contenders next season with the right recruitment? Jackie, yeah, 100%. 100%. I still think it'll happen in 2027 season, but why not? With the right recruitment, 100%. Okay, halfway through the show. Boy, that passed quickly, didn't it? We'll have a quick ad break and we'll be back after this. Watch out for the new end of season party ad. Big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Big thanks to Mr. Vicky Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk.
Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel, UK Coach Holidays. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com, email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com, telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. And if you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can find us on Sport Social Podcast Network. We're also available on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to support the channel, then hit the subscribe button. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the like button, which is the thumb underneath this video, and click share to your social media. You could also take out a monthly membership or an annual membership at nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. For the lifetime membership, you can pay £25 and get a pen, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, a badge and a keyring and your membership card and entry into the monthly draw. Some events coming up: 27th of June 2025, the end of season party. Beresford, Howie and Watson will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre with Joe Allen in aid of North Tyneside Age UK. You can get your tickets for that one from nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk or from Woucher. No Covers takes place at the Clooney. That's on the 29th of June, midday till 3:45, and tickets are £10 from theclooney.com or newcastlelegends.com. Northern Horizon, a Blake 7 convention, takes place on the 9th of August, 10 till 4 at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Come and be some of the cast and crew in aid of Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. Tickets from nufcmatters.co.uk. An evening with Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle takes place on Friday the 23rd of January 2026 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. You can get tickets from the box office 0844 249 1000 or from tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And Bad Manners are back in the Northeast at the O2 City Hall, Friday the 30th of January 2026. Tickets from ticketmaster.co.uk. And we have copies of The Entertainer's book, signed by Les Ferdinand, available from nufcmatters.co.uk.
Yep, only 10 of those books left from Sir Les, so get yourself onto the website, nufcmatters.co.uk, if you want to buy one today. Yes, the Nick Pope song was back out in force. Les says, in the 70s, we had chants for every player on the pitch. Sad that doesn't happen now. It's a team game after all. A bit more now than we did, though, it has to be said. John says, does the Gunners' destruction of Madrid last night mean that our path to number 1 might be smoother than first thought? I'm presuming our chairman wants us to be best in the world. I mean, you can beat anybody on your day. We just need that luck with injuries. We didn't have that in the Champions League. We had suspensions and injuries, and it drained us because we didn't have a big enough squad. Had we been in Europe this year, it would have been the same, one would have thought. But if we get the recruitment right in the summer, there's no reason to say that Newcastle won't be going for number 1 over the next 5 years. Bombay Bad Boys, a spicy pot noodle. Yeah, I mean, again, like I'm not one for a pot noodle, but I would imagine that's, you know, I would imagine it's quite nice, Mark, but it's not my first call for food. That, like, I've got to be honest. Kevin is listening live on the beach in sun-drenched Florida. Enjoy yourself, Kevin. If you're on holiday, that'll be good. Roger says, how do you see our squad strength and competitiveness for 4 competitions next season, given 6+ out with some in? Again, that's back down to the recruitment, isn't it? I genuinely think Newcastle United will have a decent window and will be able to compete. And we're not getting rid of certain players. And I think you say 6 out, but maybe 3 or 4 out, I think, for definite. I think the likes of, you'd be surprised if Callum Wilson's still here, Jamal Lascelles, You think both of those will go? You think there'll be at least one of the goalkeepers goes? You would think Mark Gillespie might be on his way. But yeah, you're looking at 4 or 5 players maybe, but Newcastle will have to bring players in and a couple of others. You've got to remember, we've already lost Miguel Almiron. He's already gone in the window. So, but yeah, I think there'll be competitiveness. Certainly do. Plenty food for thought for Eddie Howe next season. Evening, Steve. Question is from Matty. What do you think will be our transfer approach? Young players from Europe or Premier proven? A good mix, a bit of both. We've signed a lot of youngsters in recent years, and I think we'll continue to do that. And I think the club's already gone on record and said that that's what they'll do. But I think there'll be some proven European and Premier League players coming in. No doubt about it, Matty. I've got no evidence to back that up, but I do personally think that we will see Newcastle having a really good transfer window this year. I don't know what they'll spend. I wouldn't guess at what they'll spend. But you would hope that they've got, some big bucks to play with. Mixers. I know matters don't get involved with rumours. Yes or no? Do you think there is any truth in it? As the media are adamant that Tonali's leaving this summer, I think no. I think no as well, Nick. Yeah, I mean, why would he leave? Why would he leave? It's interesting though, because the one that always gets chucked at me, sometimes by me mates in the pub or, when you're on your way to a game, is, if you had to sell one player, one of your blue chip players, your big name players, who would it be? And, we're going to have to get to that stage at some point. Manchester United, I think somebody made the point in the chat the other night that Alex Ferguson stayed at the top of the tree for so long because he refreshed. That's a good word to use, refreshed the squad. And I think I made the point, Man United have constantly done it with, like say the number 7 shirt. Was it George Best who started in that? And then you had, your Cantonas, your Beckhams, your Ronaldos, they've always constantly refreshed. And, you would have probably looked at Cantona or Beckham and gone, how are we ever going to replace him? But you did. And, likewise with Newcastle in certain ways, we've always managed to do that in the number 9 shirt. We've had a couple of years with barren spells, but that number 9 shirt has always been replaced. Whereas, and I think I did a fanzine article many, many years ago saying that going down that kind of particular route where you only, your main focus is that number 9, that's been at a detriment to us, because to win something, you need to have the whole team playing well, the whole team chipping in with goals. And maybe our fascination and obsession with the number 9 shirt has been part of the problem. And the team that did win something this year has people scoring goals from all angles. Dan Burn getting the opening goal, and and your number 9, your number 14 getting a goal. But maybe that's helped massively. Maybe that's been a deciding factor, because for years other managers have just focused on feeding that number 9. I hope any redevelopment has a safe standing with 14 to 40s. First, keep the older fans like me now in the sides and upper tiers, says JJ. Yeah, somebody said having an all standing end is interesting. But yeah, I mean, a lot of thought needs to go into that new stand, new stadium. Sorry, a lot of thought needs to go into that, and there needs to be prices for all pockets. God. I sound like a broken record. That's something I said years ago when we upgraded the stadium back in the 80s and 90s. Stephen Moore, good evening. Hi, Steve. Hope you're well. What's your thoughts on the leaked NUFC shirt? It looks terrible. I haven't seen it, Stephen. I've seen a couple last couple of weeks, mate, so it's one of them. There's so much of this AI-generated stuff going around, mate. There really is. You don't know what to believe. I mean, I'm sure you've all seen these AI-generated Newcastle United supporter, Sunderland supporter things. It's all very strange. All very strange indeed. Les says, was the sombrero song racist? It used to make me giggle. The sombrero song was a disgrace, says John. Yes, I do tend to remember that. I'll not bother singing it. I'll keep me singing for Friday. Stephen, there's going to be plenty of films over the years. If it's the one I think you're referring to, definitely not. But no, I'm busy at the moment. I'm going to be touring in a play, and that's going to mean there's going to be Still, NUFC matters, but it'll be as and when I can do it. You know, that's going to be the balancing part of my life and being on the road. But I'm also I have been casting a film later this year in London, so I will be doing something in London. But yeah, there's plenty going on, Stephen, in my professional life. But hopefully, it won't affect this show too much. You will see any of you who jump onto the you know, the shows that are teed up. There's quite a few pre-records over the next over May, because I'm going to be quite busy in May rehearsing and learning lines and stuff like that. So yeah, it's, you know, I've got to do the day job sometimes. So but yeah, that's the way it goes. Would you consider reducing the number of guests on your show to a maximum of 3? No, Stephen. In as far as the fans forum is concerned, definitely not, because the fans forum really, mate, is what it's all about. It's about as many fans coming on and having their say. The Amigos, you know, it's worked well for everybody. It's worked well for me, but it's also worked well with, you know, having George on with his dad, and you know, we used to have a few more on there. You know, Joe's sometimes comes on with the full show. Sometimes he's only on for 10-15 minutes. And we obviously have the floating guests. Keith Patterson comes in if there's anything major kicking off in the financial world. But yeah, I mean, the other shows, Tuesdays 3, it's 2 for half the show. The Wednesday show just depends who's available. The Thursday show is just 2 of us, 3 if Superman comes back, and the professionals is just 3. So you're only really talking about the fans forum, I presume, and the Amigos. And why change something that's not broken, especially with the Amigos? But I'd be interested to know what prompted that question, mate. Maybe that's a one for when we have the members chat, if you all remember. Philip Shuttleworth, hi Steve, would you like the Mackhams or Borough to get promoted to have the derbies back in an easy 6 points? I'd love to see Sunderland come up, because that's the big derby. Borough's not a big derby to me. But yeah, I'd love to see one of them or both of them back in the Premier League. It's going to be tough, touch and go though, isn't it? I think they could end up playing each other in the playoffs. Jules says, I'd rather skippable lads in a channel with no moral compass intent on clickbait. Thank you, Jules. Alan McKenzie says 20 degrees this morning, smoker on in the garden, belly pork, ribs or burgers. Mozza only eats chicken, by the way. She can have salad. Classic. Hope you're well, Alan and Mozza. I wish I'd seen Hughie Gallagher play. Says Barry, is there a past legend that you wish you had seen play? Jackie Milburn, mate, all day long. And again, it's another number 9, isn't it? But yeah, Jackie Milburn for me. Steve, how many wins do you think we'll get from now till the end of the season? I'm going to say 5, Tom. I'm very, very confident. I do think at least 5. Tom's nervous about Man United. I'm the polar opposite. I know they don't concede many goals away from home, but Newcastle's got the bit between the teeth, and I think I've already gone early with my prediction. I fancy a 3-0 win this weekend. I think Newcastle will win 3-0. John says there's only been one decent team in the Premier League this season, and they may lose stars in the summer. Liverpool, of course. With a good window, could we have an outside tilt at the title? I think I've already answered that, but the answer is yes. But it will be an outside one. Man, you are there for the taking. They're a shadow of their former glory. I would agree. And we do still have a chance of third. You're right. Fake Nando's night for us. Yeah, we've done a fake Nando's night or 2 over the years, and now wrong with it, Jules. As long as you've got the hot sauce. I think 13 points guarantees as Champions League. I've been wrong before. Davey, it's probably about right, mate. You're probably about right. Cheers, Gary. Another question. Salah's close to signing a new deal at Liverpool, Tom, is he? All right, okay. John says Murphy has improved, takes a lot, but he's a better all-round player, 100%. Gary says, what's a fake Nando's? Did you order it off Temu? John says Eddie Andos deserve at least 4 first-team ready signings in the summer. Yeah, I would agree, mate. I really would agree. 4 at the very, very minimum. What's the viewings for the show so far? I'm not sure whether that's to me, Tom, or not. From our perspective, we always average this show bizarrely, and I always find it bizarre. I don't know, you know, whether it's just because I'm humble or what. I don't ever expect this one to get really decent views, but it always seems to get a decent audience, which is nice, and I really appreciate it. But on average, most of the shows hit 1,500 to 2,000. The amigos and that, of course, do 4,000 to 5,000, same as the professionals. But it doesn't really bother me these days. We enjoy making the content. We enjoy having, our say, and we enjoy keeping you guys entertained. So, and it's an hour out of my day, each day. So for me, it doesn't. It's more about just the enjoyment and having our opportunity to say stuff. I've always spoken about Newcastle in some capacity, whether it's been on TV, radio, writing the fanzine. And the fact that we've been able to raise as much as we have for various charities has also been a massive, massive play in keeping this channel going, I guess. Cheers, Steve, for the answer. Actually, we have 9 players in our current squad who've been capped by England senior level more than any other club. Yeah, Chris, and that's great. That's Eddie Howe doing his bit for England without taking the England job, I guess. Hate to say this, the Macklins could well make Wembley in the playoff finals. I think they will. I think Sunderland will make the playoff final. Are you bothered about England, Steve? The football, not the country. I'm not particularly bothered. No, in the big tournaments, yes, I am, but not really. On a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, I'm not. As for the country, mate, it's an absolute mess. And to think that those people in the 1940s gave their lives up for what this country's become, without going down the political route too much. Delapse, who I was talking about, Rob, earlier. We were talking about him earlier before you came to the chat, and he needs another season in the Premier League before we could say that we're going to make that kind of money. 30 million release clause, I think Les has said there. But yeah, I wouldn't be convinced. Tom says, what's the latest on Supermac? Is any further forward? Gibbo gave everyone an update last week. No change, guys. No change, sadly. And until he gets the operation, he will not be back on the show. He did a little bit of media for the cup final. People rang him at home, etc. But he's getting very used to not being out of the house, sadly, which is sad. Delap, not a Howe player, in my opinion, says John. Rob thinks he can be moulded. And yeah, it's just been on Sky Sports News that he's got a 30 million. It was in the newspapers that yesterday, I think. Hi, Steve. I hope it doesn't happen, but if Isaac goes in the summer, what price would you be happy with if he did? Well, he's 175 to 200 million pound player, Chantel, and nobody can afford that at the moment. I don't think he'll go. That's my opinion. Foreign players are brilliant, but there should be fewer as a rule. Homegrown players aren't getting the chance. Miley, for example, has already been judged by the quality of Tonali, etc. 40 years ago, he wouldn't have had that problem. Yeah, I saw there was a quote attributed to John Anderson on BBC Radio Newcastle saying that he should go out on loan, Miley. So I thought Miley's done okay when he's come on. It is going to be difficult getting into that midfield, but I'm not sure he'll allow him to go out on loan because he's a key player when he's fit and available. And Boomer being quoted as 100 million, no chance, says Barry. Yeah, I wouldn't spend that kind of money either. We should be after Gakora's already has a partnership with Isaac and add something to the team like Tonali did. That's a good shout. Presume he's the Swedish striker. Surely our scouting network has identified the striker they want. Going to be an interesting window for once. Well, I gave him the exclusive interview with Paul Mitchell. I passed him in the lift at St James's Park against Brentford, and I went, good luck in the summer, Paul, and he went, thank you. So there we go. That's my exclusive. I'll not bother putting that as a video saying NUFC Matters interview with Paul Mitchell. If we win our home games and lose away, will that be good enough for fifth? Well, it depends. I put the fixtures up earlier on, John, of the other teams, and there's some pretty difficult run-ins. Man City's probably got the easy one, but let's face it, Man City aren't the Man City who played last season. They could lose any of those games. Anybody can lose any game. Look at Fulham and Liverpool. Mozza, just noticed Bez at the end of season 2. He's hilarious. Looking forward to it. We'll need to keep Alan's hands down for the auction. He gets carried away. We need Alan to bid on stuff, Mozza, for the dementia charity. So I'll get somebody to entertain you at the bar, Mozza, while the auction's on. I just loved how we're the lads on the loop, says Davey Eddie. Beza, one of the most underrated left backs we've had. We were so lucky he failed the medical at the Scousers. Yeah, it's a fantastic story that he tells that about that particular thing as well. John says, do you think the club will provide news on the future of the stadium before the summer, even if it's just to confirm discussions are happening? Some fans get concerned over no news. I don't know, John. It's such a huge thing. I mean, we saw rumours in the newspapers recently about them people objecting to it being built on Leazes Park. So I really don't know. I would suggest that we probably won't hear anything until they know exactly what's happening and they can make an announcement. That would be my view anyway. But I don't know that for certain. Do you think anyone will come in go our big players in the summer? You mean for our big players in the summer? Of course, people might try. But yeah, I think Newcastle will have cemented their place in the Champions League next season. And after winning a trophy and getting into the Champions League, nobody's going to want to leave Newcastle. They're going to want to stay and continue the party. If we get Champions League, what teams would you like to play? Not the group of death, please. Not the group of death. In fact, it's the league, isn't it? It's the league. I'm not sure how it works. Because we weren't in it this year, I didn't really pay too much attention. Just somewhere, you know, I'd like to play games where we've got a chance, you know. It'd be nice to play one big team in your opening games, but let's have a chance of progression this time. Positivity, Darren, good evening. He fancies 3-0 Sunday, still feeling positive, unlike me. Yeah, I do genuinely think 3-0 at the weekend as well. I'll see you at the weekend as well, Daz. Have a couple of drinks with you before we go in. I think we might keep Gillespie and Longstaff if we get Champions League because we need 4 homegrown players. So it'll be them, Miley and Neve, maybe. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Forgot that rule. Another one of those rules that they've got. Tally meter always full of unreal speculation. Yeah, I would agree as well. Food's done. Oh, well, your fake Nando's is done. Well done. Steve, would you personally rather score the winning goal for Newcastle in the Champions League final or break Shearer's NUFC scoring record but win out? Well, as I'm friends with Alan, mate, I'd rather score the winning goal for Newcastle in the Champions League final. I wouldn't want to upset Alan. Could you just keep the singing at Steve Wraith? What on earth do you mean, Jules? We're definitely going to do karaoke at this end of season, Have you got any new books coming out? No, Tom. My play is nearly finished. I've been writing the play. Take me time with it. I was aiming to get that finished last year, but there's a couple of things that I'm going to change with it, and that will be performed towards the back end of this year, not by me. I'll be there, but yeah, I've written a play, and it's just about finished. A couple of things I want to change, but no new books, Tom. No intention of writing any books at this moment in time. I haven't got the time. Is there a technique actors use to learn lines? Always wondered because it can't be easy. Everyone's different. The way that I learn them is repetition. So I'll get a page of dialect script and I learn it by repetition, reading it out loud, reading it out loud, reading it out loud. And that's it. And it muscle memory, it does go in. But I've been learning lines since I was 7. So my mind is used to doing that. But you have to put the graft in, Mark. It doesn't just happen. Some people it may happen, but not for me. I have to work hard to learn my lines. Also, the understanding of the script is so important. You've got to know what you're talking about. It's pointless just learning words because then you're not going to be able to act or express the emotion. But yeah, that's the way that I learn them anyway. But everyone's different. Fans forum's excellent, a real varied mixture of opinions, and we are the Geordie's terrific amongst others. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been able to do that as much this year. Geordie's here, Geordie's there, Davey. Really just because of the way fixtures have fallen on Wednesday nights, and that's because we've been successful, you know. So we've had a bit of a mix this year. We've had me, we've had Ask George, we've had Geordie's here, Geordie's there, we've had Ben Jacobs. But yeah, we've had lots of different variations. Some of the other shows have stayed the same. Joe Allen, of course, as well, who's joined the platform. But I think sometimes mixing it up, it gives you that little bit of variety and gives you something different out there. But when I have the members chat, we'll chat a little bit more about that. Whoever wants to join us, probably next week. Steve has not heard from Keith since we won the cup. Can you get him on soon? He was back. I wish he was back on more regular. It's impossible, Phil, because of his work and schedule. But yeah, I mean, we'll get him on before the end of the season, I'm sure. Do you think we can win the league by 2027? 100 years since the last league win. I did say that earlier on. Yes, 100%. I've seen us score 5 versus Man U 3 times. Hoping for a 4th this weekend. Oh, that would be nice. Busy summer ahead for you, Steve, but don't forget to check your diary for a visit down to us in Brum. Go out in town. We're up, by the way, for final game of the season weekend. I'm not here then, unfortunately, Jules. May is a really busy month for me, so I'll not be here when you come up. But yeah, definitely we will catch up. don't think you're going to be here for the end of season do either. It's nice just you to ourselves, Steve. Always straight, honest, and varied answers. Topic. Thank you, David. I hope you're managing to get your internet issues sorted out as well, mate. Sunderland Borough playoff could happen, Chris. Yeah, 100%. Do you think Arsenal will win the Champions League? Watching them last night, I didn't watch them, Tom. I know the result, of course. They've got every chance, haven't they? After that result, but they've got to shut up shop away from home. 2 absolutely brilliant goals from Declan Rice, by the way. But yeah, really, really good. With 4 out of contract this summer and 9 next summer, our rebuild is bigger than we think. It's a good point as well, David. Yeah, that is why. Genuinely, that is why. These short-term contracts are being offered to some of the players, I'm sure. But I think Mitchell knows what he wants. Howe knows what he wants, and I think we'll act quickly. Again, it's a gut instinct, it's an opinion, but I think we'll act quickly. Some channels would run with that Paul Mitchell story, Steve. Aye, David, you're right, man. You forget we're on a pension, man, Steve. Sorry, Mozza, sorry. The Champions League and Europa League, each team play 8 different teams, 4 at home, 4 away. Thank you, Phil, for the clarification. So we do play 8 different teams, 4 at home, 4 away. So, God, well, that's great, isn't it? There's going to be such a wide range of teams that we could get. Could you get Derek Wright in for the end of the season? Do Stevie's book is mint. Well, we had Derek on earlier this year, didn't we? We had him. Or was it back end of last year in December? I mean, I can invite him, but you wouldn't be on stage or anything because we've got to go with the guests that we've already invited. The only reason that Bez is on is because we had a whole set of dates at Gateshead Leisure Centre, and then Gateshead Leisure Centre changed management and they cancelled all the dates. And I don't like to let the lads down, so I've managed to honour all of the dates apart from the Beresford one, which somebody else had took, didn't manage to sell it. So I've took it back. Rather than cancelling Bez, I've rearranged Bez for our end of season do. So I'll take the hit. If the tickets don't sell, I'll take the hit, and it just means that we won't raise any money for charity on that particular day. The Blake 7 one, bizarrely, is selling really well. That more or less is at break even, which means that anything we make on the raffle, auction, etc. on the day means the dementia charity is going to make some money, which is fantastic. So happy days. There's a lot of overheads in events. Sometimes people don't realize that, and for us personally, we just hope we can get a sponsor for that Beresford Water and how we won. I'm pretty sure we will. I'm enjoying Three's a Crowd with Ted and Ryan. I missed the breakfast show. That was brilliant. Yeah, Tom, sadly the radio station didn't want our services anymore, and it's a pity because it was a big success, and that's why we decided to continue it. And it's got up to a slow start on YouTube, but now that we all put it out on all 3 channels, I think collectively it gets the views. Completely understand that some people on here don't want to listen to a Sunderland fan or a Borough fan, but I think those of you who've given it a chance actually realise that 3 football fans from the 3 Northeast clubs can actually all get on and have a laugh, you know what I mean? So if you haven't watched it, we're back on this week. We're on Sunday at we're back on Sunday at 10 o'clock. So before the Man United game, I'm doing it. The reason being that the professionals is going to be Saturday at 4, because obviously the lads will be out on the drink for the Man United game on the Sunday. So slight change around there. Gibbo tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Amigos, 5 o'clock Friday. Professionals, 10 o'clock on. Professionals, 4 o'clock on Saturday. And Three's a Crowd, the Northeast Footy podcast, at 10 o'clock on Sunday. I'm also pre-recording another couple of shows this weekend for when I'm unavailable to do lives. Paul Ferris is coming back on about his new book about Newcastle United, the former Newcastle player and physio. So I'm doing another podcast with him, pre-record on Saturday morning. And I'm also doing a pre-record with Jeff Brown, the former BBC television sports presenter. I'm pre-recording that as well because he's got a play which is coming out. So that's another thing I'm doing. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. Yes, Mozza is the answer to that. Gibbo and I will be doing that in the summer. There's no question. And that was the first time that Gibbo's ever been on the City Hall stage. He loved it. So yeah, 100%. That is That is definitely in the in his plans to do it in the summer. Thanks for asking about the internet. It works if I use 4G, so issue is with router, but impossible to speak to anything other than bots. Oh, David. It's like my poem I did the other day. Can still see Madrid going through, I bet. Yes, Steve, reading out loud, repetition sticks in the psyche. It does, yeah. It's strange, and it's a bit weird, but it does. Thoughts on splitting the summer window? Hate the idea, Les. Absolutely hate the idea. And it's only benefiting those teams who are playing in the club championship or whatever it's called. He was on ITV News last night, Derek. Oh, was he? Oh, good. Yeah, I'll invite him, mate, but there's no guarantees he'll come. Interesting, Roger. What was he speaking about? Yeah, I didn't see that. Very rare I see the news because obviously I'm usually doing the show. Steve, you lads who talk to camera with fluidity is so impressive. I just heard the odd comment in. Stu Penman was like artificial intelligence on Sunday. Classic. I'll tell him that. Thank you though, mate. Much appreciated. Three's a crowd. I agree. I'm in sure the banter is great. Mutual respect amongst friends, regardless of club loyalties. I've never met Rye, you know. I've never met the Aussie. I've met Ted the Mackham twice now, and he's a great lad. When is the Lee Clark due on pre-record? Just go into the channel, mate, and look for videos. You'll find it there. Great news, Steve says. Muzza must have been about the 2 pre-records I'm doing. Okay, that's an hour, folks. Whatever you're doing tonight, enjoy yourself. Jules, enjoy your fake Nando's. Could I do a show with Paul Cannella? I don't think he's ever done one. I could ask him, mate. No doubt about it. Thank you. Three's a crowd is class. Yeah, I'm going to shoot off myself and go and relax. Been working quite a lot this afternoon. So back tomorrow live at 6 o'clock. Great show. Take care, Steve. Tom, take care, everyone. Take care, everyone. Yes, have a good night. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, set your reminders for Gibbo tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. See you then.